Welcome back to Spring Holler Farm. What I wanted to talk about today, just for briefly, is answer a few questions about keeping firewood dry. Some of the questions I had in the comments on my other video, which I will link at the end. If I remember, I'll put a card up there. But anyway, keeping firewood dry after you get it dry is just as important as how you get it dry. And there's several different ways to do it, and I outlined some of those in the video, but some people had some questions. As you can see here, I have a pretty good setup underneath this roof. We just brought in some wood. Some of it down in the back on the bottom, pretty good sized pile up to about the halfway point on this pile over here in the back, is what I like to call MIB wood. And I forgot what I was going to say. About halfway up on the back here is what I like to call MIB wood. The best of the best of the best, sir, with honors, right? That wood is some white oak, a little bit of red oak that I cut not last winter, but the winter before. And it sat out all summer in the hot sun and the wind and got nice and dry. And then I covered it with a tarp, and it sat all winter last year under a tarp, all spring and all summer and all fall this year under a tarp. So it's nice and dry. It is really dry. I haven't checked it with the moisture meter yet, but I'm going to. I'm guessing it's going to be in the single digits, because let me tell you, when I picked it up, it was really light. And when you hit it together, it goes clink, like the kernel. Clink. Anyway, I moved that wood, which I don't know, you might remember. It was sitting right over here next to that pallet going out this way. Got it all. But then what I also did was I took off a layer off the front of here. There was a double stack. I took a single stack, which wasn't all the way up. It was only about 2/3 of the way up across there. Hard to do this when you're looking backwards at your own picture. But anyway, some of the questions people's had, not people's, some of the questions people had in the comments, or some of the comments they made, was about keeping wood dry by covering it completely. Now, normally I would say, yeah, that's true. If you're drying wood, if it's not all the way dry, you definitely don't want to cover it completely airtight, because it won't finish drying, and it might even sweat and cause problems. But if your wood is completely dry, do you want to cover it up completely airtight? Well, no, because once again, it will still sweat. Moisture will come up out of the ground and it will sweat. And I had it looked like a tent. It's in the video thumbnail. It kind of looked like a tent. And people thought, because from the side you can see in the video, over here, this is basically what my video thumbnail was about like this. It looks like it goes all the way to the ground. And it pretty much does. There's a little bit of airflow underneath there, very at the bottom, right all the way at the bottom. And over on this side, I got it held down so that it stays down. But if you look up here on this end, that's not the case. See, it's wide open, letting all kinds of air into that wood stack. And there are small holes on the other end, which I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to move around a little bit. You can see light showing through on the other end, where there's an air hole down there. Yeah, there it is, right there. It's not huge, but it gets airflow from one side to the other so that it stays dry. And that's the whole point. That wood is already dry. It's down to about 15% or less. So it doesn't really need to get any drier, even though I'd like it to. It just needs to stay dry. And that tarp, although it's quite a bit bigger than I expected it to be, quite a bit bigger than I actually wanted it to be, it is keeping it dry. So, do you want to make sure that there's a little bit of airflow? Absolutely. Do you want it to be a whole lot of airflow? It doesn't need to be a whole lot. Just enough to keep it from sweating underneath there and getting your wood wet. Now this wood over here, why did I select that? Since that was the last wood I split last year. That should be the last wood I use, right? Normally, yes. This year, this particular time, no. Because there's a reason why I still have these big rounds under here from last year that I haven't split under this big heavy tarp. There's a reason, because that is white oak, but it probably should have been cut down a year or maybe two earlier. While it's still good and solid and it'll throw good heat, it is a little bit punky, just a little bit. It's got some white flecks in it where there's a little bit of mildew growing in there. And when I got into those, and it was late in the spring, and I thought, I'm just going to wait on those. And that is the pile I took first. And when we were over here, I'll go back in here so I can just show you instead of tell you about it. When we were in under here, this pile here, boy, I'm having a hard time with that today. This pile here and about the top 2 foot over here on this pile and down in the front here, that's all that punkier wood. Now, once I got down in the stack of the punky wood, some of it was still good, but that's the stuff I put down on the bottom, down here. The bottom 2 or 3 feet. But I put that punky wood up on top. Why is that? Well, the next few days are supposed to not be all that cold. Right now it's in the 30s out here. It's supposed to get down to the low 30s tonight, and it's been getting into the mid to low 20s the last few nights. Low 30s, highs in the 50s, low 60s for the next several days. Today's the Sunday before Christmas, so that'd be 22nd, December 22nd, 2024. Here in northern Arkansas, we're supposed to have a bit of a warm period. We're also supposed to get a ton of rain. Thus the reason why I got so much up underneath the roof. We're supposed to get several inches of rain again, like we need it. This is the mud season. Unfortunately, it's coming early this year. Usually it doesn't happen until around the end of January and goes through February, where it just rains and rains and rains and rains. But the long range forecast, if you can believe that, which sometimes it's right, sometimes it ain't, but they do seem to hit the trends anyway. The trend is it's going to be drier than usual, but also colder than usual the first couple of weeks of January. Well, colder than usual means lows in the teens and 20s, highs in the 30s, maybe 40s. That's when I want that good wood that I told you about, the MIB wood. That stuff should be some top-notch wood. And I've already used the rest of my junky wood, so all I have left is top-notch wood. I've got about 3 or 4 cords of top-notch oak ready to go, and about a rick of hickory. Hickory. Yeah, I have about a rick of hickory. I can't really see what I'm pointing at. Right there. That I took the plastic off of that MIB wood and put it over the hickory. Even though it already had one sheet of plastic, it wasn't quite big enough, so I covered it with another sheet. But anyway, that's where we're at right now. So, everything's covered. Everything's dry. Everything's sorted out so that I can burn the not so good wood when it's not so cold and save the good wood for when it is cold. And I've got more of the second-rate wood over there. Not really second-rate. It's just not quite first-rate. It was standing dead. It had been standing dead for a couple of years, so it could have been better wood. Personally, I wish that I could cut green wood this year and have it ready for next year. That's the best. If you cut green wood this winter, split it, stack it before the warm season comes, and if you split it small enough, next year you will have the best of the best. I'm here to tell you. You got to get it down. People say 20%, but I'm here to tell you 20% does not burn well. It's still too damp. You want to get it down to 15, maybe even 10 or 12 is really just, that's the sweet spot, 10 or 12. I don't think I've ever had anything lower than 10 or 12 to really see if it burns better. But it worries me that it might burn too fast if it's too dry. And then you've got the problem of it burning up too quickly, like pine does. And I don't want that either. And one other small thing, so you know, we've been having problems with the battery on the tractor. You can see I got the charger under there. and I'll leave it under there till tomorrow morning, and then I'll move the tractor back up to the top of the hill because I don't have any way to keep it dry down here. Man, I don't like to sit down and get a wet butt. So, but also it's been losing a little bit of fluid, and I got to looking while I had it running earlier today. It needs a water pump. The downside to that is this is a Dongfeng tractor. It's a Chinese tractor. Finding parts for this is like finding a jackalope riding the back of a unicorn. It's pretty tough. So if any of you know where to find a water pump for this tractor, it's a Terraplane TD38. It's a Dongfeng Tractor Corporation. And then on the motor, it has another stamp for a different, I don't remember what that says. I can look it up, but if I find it, I'll put it on the screen here so that you can see what that is too. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't. Share it with your friends. Get them to subscribe. We have the opportunity to make money on this channel. I've got well over 4,000 watch hours, which is one of the 2 requirements to be monetized. The second requirement is you have to have 1,000 subscribers, and we're moving that direction. We've got less than 400 to go, but we need to move faster in that direction. So please subscribe if you haven't. Get your friends, tell them to subscribe. If you have more than one channel, use them both. Use all 3, whatever you got. We're looking forward to being able to actually turn a little bit of a profit here and have some money to reinvest in the channel, like buying better camera equipment, buying better woodworking equipment, so forth and so on. Right now, it's all on my broke budget, so everything's been done on the cheap. Hopefully you understand that. Hopefully you're willing to help out. Don't forget the thumbs up. Those make a big difference too. The more time you watch the video and the more thumbs up you give me, the better the channel will do. So I appreciate you if you do that. And thanks again for watching Spring Holler Farm.